next commander will be for the Colonial Army.
Congratulations, Mr. Washington. I now pronounce you the new commander of the Colonial Army.
Thank you for electing me the new commander of the Colonial Army. I'm sure that you will be proud of what my actions are going to be.
Congrats. Accepting his position as commander, George Washington set out to train his army in Boston. Tom Murigan is assisting George Washington in training his army. Aim, load,
No, we're not the most equipped army. We have the best heart. Those bloody redcoats have nothing to fight for besides their heart. We do this for freedom. Let's get those bloody redcoats!
The Colonial Army was a ragged bunch with not many guns, no cannons, and not much experience in the art of fighting. The army was made of farmers, shoemakers, carpenters, and blacksmiths. The lawful part of George Washington was taking the position of general of the Colonial Army, could have ruined his career and took no salary for this action. This army of untrained soldiers were about to fight the most well-trained and strongest army known to ever to mankind.
So the Continental Army, with George Washington as its leader, set out for battle in Long Island.
We're going to set our troops on the dunes of Long Island and attack the British as they arrive on their ships.
Yes, sir. George Washington placed his troops and waited for the British to arrive.
They just outnumber us. There's no way we can win a battle by fighting in a line. We must come up with a new way of fighting.
I agree. We have to somehow injure them and then retreat right away.
Yes, I like the way you think. We will attack right away, do damage, and then just get away quickly so they cannot do harm us.
Nice.
The reason for the loss of the battle at Long Island for the Colonial Army was because 20,000 redcoats attacked to outnumber the Colonial Army 2-to-1 soldiers. The loss for the Colonial Army was devastating. They lost 1,400 Americans and were killed and wounded or captured, while the Redcoats' victory was exhilarating. They only lost 400 men that were killed or either wounded.
Go. George Washington's men were pushed out of New Jersey and had to retreat back into Philadelphia. They retreated into Pennsylvania by crossing the Hudson and Delaware River. Before they crossed the rivers, General Howe nearly captured Washington and his remaining men. Several months later, after recovering from the loss, Washington made a bold decision to cross back over the Delaware. On Christmas night, he crossed the Delaware to go surprise attack at the Battle of Trenton.
Tonight is our only chance for hope. This has to be successful or all else fails. We have to surprise attack them. Don't kill them right away, only if they attack. This whole thing must be done quickly.
Mr. Washington crossed the Delaware on Christmas night, which led to a surprise attack on the Hessian guards guarding Trenton. Oh.
Washington was so determined to win the key battle that he ordered his men to cross the Delaware River on Christmas night. That night it was very windy, and his men had to cross the Delaware, some without even shoes. There were huge chunks of ice in the Delaware that they had to maneuver around, and it was a very frigid night.
He separated his troops into three forces, all led by a general. These plans were discussed and well thought out at a meeting in the Mayor's house. Washington led his force miles above Trenton, while another group moved out a mile below Trenton. The last group would go from the southernmost point where they would stop the retreating of the Hessians.
Alright guys, we're going to separate into three groups to invade the fort in Trenton. You go above, you go below, and we'll go down.
Marched through terrible weather, all groups arrived for the surprise attack at 8 a.m.
surprise them on Christmas morning. They were so surprised their faces were astonished. It is amazing how a well-thought-out plan could win a battle and maybe win the war.
Go. The Battle of Trenton was won by the Americans at 9 o'clock.
Facts. The Americans killed or captured 1,408 men in one decisive hour. They had a great plan. The Americans would attack the Hessian troops at 8 a.m. They surrounded the fort from all sides. I personally believe from research that they were able to pull this off because the Hessian troops are huge partiers on Christmas. So Washington took advantage of this and attacked them when they weren't in the greatest of conditions. The victory of Trenton was a humongous accomplishment for the Americans, which gave them great hope in the war, and might have been one of the major turning points in the Continental War.